Throughout the years, many versus shows have come and gone. I think it's safe to say that one has stood the test of time. Death Battle. And as of today, we've now reached the 10-year anniversary of the show, so I felt like something special was in order. A while back, and I mean a while back, I said that I had planned to make a video about what makes Death Battle fun. And while my confidence was shaken for that idea midway through Season 6, after the connections and experiences I've had over the past year in the Death Battle community, I can now confidently bring it back. I think it's just best to get all the negatives out of the way right off the bat, though I won't go in depth. Of course, there are several episodes in this show's run that are incorrect, and others that are just perceived as incorrect. Some are up for debate, while others simply end up as nonsensical overall. Some episodes can be boring or underwhelming in their animation analysis, or in worst case, both. However, I feel like these instances are vastly outnumbered by the sheer amount of inventive, high-impact fights the show has granted us. And ultimately, this video will be a love letter to the show and to the crew. So without further ado, let's jump in. To get the easiest answer out of the way, Death Battle's animations are, on average, amazing. I do find some, even recently, that drag out a bit, but even in them, I can appreciate a ton of technique and talent that went into crafting them. I think it's a safe assumption that a good portion of people got into watching Death Battle purely because of the fight animations. This is the pure entertainment value the show offers, where if you so choose, you can simply tune out all the research and calculations and devote all your attention to watching one or more of your favorite characters duking it out. But even if you don't know the combatants, sometimes that can be the fun of it anyway. And on that note...
Does it hurt yet? Don't worry. I'll put you out of your misery.
I've spoken with a bunch of people who love Death Battle for its ability to expose them to new media, and to be honest, of all the answers on this list, this is probably the one that resonates the most with me.
I hate you.
Puns aside, I really don't break out into a lot of genres on my own, and typically keep myself to mainstream entertainment and what I already know. Death Battle is an excellent bridge for me to find new experiences for myself. I didn't have a clue what Ruby was until Boba Fett vs. Samus Remastered, actually, where the Ruby music in the credits got muted for copyright reasons. Some things never change. But the first time I got interested in Ruby was after Yang vs. Tifa, and now it's one of my favorite shows to regularly watch. My interest in Ruby boiled over, and when looking into Ruby vs. Maka, Soul Eater became another series I very much enjoyed. The list goes on. It's something I respect Death Battle for being able to do. It can also lead to frustration when we keep getting the same series represented over and over because you want to see new stuff. But there's not much to be done when so many of those matches deserve a spot. Whether it's an iconic rivalry or a close and overlooked battle, Death Battle can deliver. And speaking of which...
Come on, kid. Let's stop this before it gets heated.
Too late.
While certainly not everyone's cup of tea, I think it's safe to say the majority of Death Battle's regular viewers can appreciate the debate the show brings to some degree. Whether you're in the thick of the discourse, making arguments and pulling data, or simply standing by as a viewer, there's enjoyment to be had. Even if you aren't into the mathy and scientific sides of the show, it's made in a manner that's easy to follow, which just adds to its accessibility. The show's digestible nature makes it easy for even those who are unfamiliar with versus debating. But for those more versed, it can almost become a sort of sport as well, if you'd see it like that. Trying to determine who should win a fight before the corresponding death battle is common practice, both on YouTube and in smaller circles. On top of that, imagining fights to come and trying to apply the rules of Death Battle to them to determine a winner, that's plenty of fun too. Heck, I'm even making a top 10 video on New Year's doing just that for a bunch of fights that I'd want to see. Difficulty and frustration is common, and frankly expected in the sphere, but it's not enough to be a deterrent to dissuade people from trying. And on that note, I'll be brief here, as this pretty much ties in with debate as a whole, but more focused. While I can't say that many people are watching the show solely for physics lessons on the properties of a black hole, it certainly can be an entertaining experience. Seeing Death Battle piece together some sort of logic from the absurd web that is fiction can simply be endearing to watch. Measuring the approximate weight of all of Egypt or timing out an action scene using the dialogue aren't necessarily the obvious choices in these situations, but they press ahead with it anyway. And on a more basic note, putting a number to these insane feats and the characters themselves, that can be pretty cool too. And back on the note of digestibility, the characters' constant comparisons between these feats and their real-life equivalents helps, even if only a little, to keep everyone on the same page. And I think now's a good time to talk about one of the main attractions of Death Battle, or I suppose, two.
It's a goose. Just one goose.
But two heads make two goose, therefore a geese.
It's a goose!
Oh yeah, this version's much better.
The two main hosts that have been here since the beginning, Wiz and Boomstick, voiced by none other than the creator of the show, Ben Singer, and his lovable friend and co-worker, Chad James. Over the many years, the pair have grown to be characters in their own right, rather than just disembodied voices that are there to share character stats. The decision to animate them was an interesting one, but ultimately, I think it worked out massively in their favor, only adding to the banter between the two. Wiz is the poised and technical know-it-all, the go-to when it comes to mathematics and calculations. He acts as the backbone of the operation, often acting as the straight man to his partner, Boomstick. Boomstick is loud and, frankly, a bit obnoxious at times, acting as the comic relief of the duo. Be it complaining about his ex-wives, downing beer, bragging about his poultry science degree, you name it. Boomstick is a lot more of an open book when it comes to what he does, and he acts as the team's weapons expert. These two add a common thread to all the episodes that can be expected no matter who the fighters may be, and the banter between them can be pretty entertaining at times. There are more minor characters as well, such as Ringmaster from DBX. He's often written off as annoying or over the top, unnecessary even, but at the very least I enjoy his showmanship and energy when he appears. And more recently, we have the addition of Dummy, kind of the Death Battle equivalent of Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide, meaning to say an existentialist depressed robot. Lastly, there's Jocelyn the Intern, who's typically just relegated to verbal cameos and Desk of Death Battle. Overworked and underpaid, about what you'd expect. She documents all the weird stuff found in the research for Death Battle. Needless to say, the modest repertoire of characters almost makes Death Battle feel like it's its own world with lore. They add a spice to the show that really isn't present in many others of its kind. Whether you love them or hate them, each one undeniably adds something. And for me, all those somethings are pretty dang good. But with that out of the way, I think it's a good place to bring this little video to a close. Like I said, this past year has been a ride. Even if all you guys might not have been along with it for me necessarily, my co-op reactions to Season 7 of Death Battle is a snippet of what it's been like. The Death Battle Discord really is just a nice place to hang out if you enjoy this stuff. If you're keeping up with me, by now you probably already know I'm making a top 10 list for New Year's, but I'd also like to bring attention to the Death Battle music video that I'll be producing for this year as well, featuring every single Death Battle to date. And even past that, it'll be a special one I don't want you guys to miss. That'll be out soon before the top 10, right after this Death Battle season ends. But with that ad out of the way, I hope you guys can take something away from this video. And hey, if there's a reason you or someone you know has for enjoying the show that I didn't say, feel free to share. These are just the common reasons that I could find. I do have a teaser for you all as well, so with that, I'll see all of you in the next video.